Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and another episode of Lightspeed. Bringing you Star Wars news and headlines in under 15 minutes. For those walks with the dog, for those drives to the grocery store, this is Lightspeed number 27. First, most importantly, is we only have a couple days left of the giveaway that we've been doing with Orbit Keys, so definitely throw your name in the hat. Find the link in the description of this podcast episode. Send it to your friends. We've got over 800. We're closing in on 900 entries, and we would love to hit 1,000 actually before the competition ends. And you have your chance to win a free Star Wars Retro Series Orbit Key organizer. They're absolutely fantastic. They keep your keys from jingling around in your pocket, from stabbing you in the leg. A Swiss Army knife for your keys. Throw your name in the hat. You got nothing to lose. We've been putting out so many Rebels Talk episodes. And, if you've tuned into any recent podcast episode, you may be familiar with this theme. So that is the Rebels theme, as you may recognize, and if you have not started Star Wars Rebels, and if you have not finished Star Wars The Clone Wars, Ashley Eckstein herself highly recommends that you do so before the premiere of Ahsoka coming out August 23rd this year. Let it be known, Ahsoka is Rebels Season 5. In a nutshell, we have reached close to the end of Season 2 in our Rebels Talk After series, and how it works is you check out the description in the podcast episode below, check out which episodes that we've seen, the ones that we're chatting about that episode in the after show, watch them before you listen, and then you can tune into myself and Blake making connections and more to each and every episode as we go by 3 and 4 at a time. It's a quick show to get through. Only 4 seasons total, and both season 1 and 4 are shorter than you would expect. So it's going to be a much faster to get through it than you think. The only thing that'll make it a bit longer to get through is if you are in fact tuning into Rebels Talk. So I don't want to discourage you from doing that. But the after show is there for when you want it, for when you need it. And as always, on Spotify, you can find a playlist dedicated to all those episodes so they don't get lost. And on our link tree, which you can find a link to that. On our socials, there is access to the podcast archives, which you can access a giant spreadsheet for both Rebels Talk, our progress on that, as well as every episode that we've ever done on the podcast, with links to YouTube to watch it there, which if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, definitely hit that up. And many more relevant statuses on upcoming podcast episodes. So if you're a daily driver, if you daily drive us as your Star Wars podcast, like first and foremost, thank you so much. But secondly, we would love to have you kind of be able to keep track more easily, as such a number one fan of ours. I mean, we're trying to deliver to the people, you know what I mean? So that's what the spreadsheet's for. So knock yourself out. And that sums it up for podcast news, really. We're going to be powering through with Rebels Talk all the way until Ahsoka comes out. And then I still think we got 2 or 3 more scheduled after shows after that to summarize Season 4. So there will be a bit of overlap, but we almost made it, almost made the race. And so forgive us for only putting out Rebels Talk episodes going forward for the next little while. But, stay tuned, stay subscribed. Share the show with a friend, drop some reviews. I mean, you got some downtime to do that for us. That would help us out so much. You have no idea. We absolutely love getting those 5 stars, getting those reviews. So most recently, Rebels Talk Part 8 has dropped. Part 9 is on the way. And Part 10 and 11 are scheduled on the calendar to be recorded next. So we are blazing our way through out of what will be 20 parts to Rebels Talk. So most recently, you may be familiar with the idea of San Diego Comic-Con. It tends to be a yearly thing at this point. And of course, Lucasfilm was there at SDCC 2023, and they brought a slew of Ahsoka props and costumes from the Lucasfilm Pavilion. And I quote, "The Lucasfilm Pavilion is hosting an exhibit of props, costumes, and behind-the-scenes elements from the series arriving August 23rd on Disney+. Among the many items on display are an adorable Lothcat puppet, Ahsoka maquette, and Sabine's grand mural of the Ghost Crew, originally seen in Star Wars Rebels, recreated for the show. If you couldn't make it to San Diego Comic-Con, StarWars.com has you covered. Browse the gallery below to see the Ahsoka showcase for yourself. There's 23 images right here of all these amazing props, costumes, and so on and so forth, of miniatures and things that they used in the show, which will be arriving very soon on Disney+. So you can check that out for yourself. The show is set after the fall of the Empire, and Ahsoka will follow the former Jedi Knight, Ahsoka Tano, as she investigates an emerging threat to a vulnerable galaxy. For more on Ahsoka, check out the latest trailer and StarWars.com's recap of Star Wars Celebration Europe 2023 panel dedicated to the series. So there you have it. And without further ado, let's take a listen at the new trailer for Ahsoka.
It's inevitable. One must destroy in order to create. We are no Jedi.
I started hearing whispers of Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
What happens when we find Thrawn?
Power, such as you've never dreamed.
I've spent most of my life fighting a war. That's why I'm trying to convince you to help me prevent another one. You and I both know who could help you with this.
She's still just as stubborn as ever.
I bet your master found you difficult at times.
Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him, just like I walked away from Sabine.
You never made things easy for me, Master.
As a Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can. But I'm counting on you to see this through.
Nice haircut. Sometimes we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings.
Buckle up.
If we don't stop Thrawn, everything will be in vain. You have no power.
Anakin spoke highly of you.
I'm not here to discuss my past.
We have a lot of work to do.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Rebels Season 5, Ahsoka, premieres August 23rd on Disney+. The trailer opens up with a startling act with Baylan Skoll, Ray Stevenson's character, a red-ish, orange-ish, lightsaber-wielding antagonist who is no Jedi. Returning characters to the series, of course, is Ahsoka, played by Rosario Dawson, Lars Mikkelsen playing a live-action Thrawn, returning and resuming his character from the Rebels animated series. General Hera Syndulla is played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Mon Mothma, returning from Andor and Rogue One, is played by Genevieve O'Reilly, also from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Sabine Wren is played by Natasha Louis-Borzado, and there is so many more characters to look forward to. Ezra Bridger, played by Iman Esfandi, and I'm looking forward to this show so much. So definitely power through Star Wars Rebels, and we will see you in the after show for Star Wars Ahsoka. At San Diego Comic-Con, Ubisoft showed up, bringing the big guns, showing the behind-the-scenes footage of Star Wars Outlaws. Let's take a listen.
Working on a Star Wars game is a dream come true.
I've had all of the toys, and it's wild to go from making these little stories on the carpet to actually build a narrative in the Star Wars galaxy.
Massive Entertainment is the perfect choice to build an open-world Star Wars game because it is inherent to their DNA as a studio to deliver on incredible open-world experiences.
Massive Entertainment are master storytellers for open-world games. This is going to be a fresh experience for Star Wars fans everywhere.
Immediately, I had that in my head, all the possibilities of where do we want to go, what can we bring to Star Wars that has not been seen before. Lucasfilm Games suggested that the perfect era to set Outlaws would be between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
What's great about that point on the timeline is this is a moment where the civil war between the Empire and the Rebellion is at its height. And this creates an environment across the galaxy where Outlaws can thrive.
That's the world that Kay is stepping into, and she sees the opportunity just like anybody else.
We will see some really cool syndicates, both from existing lore and newly created for the game.
When you play Star Wars Outlaws, you get a chance to discover what the underworld is like and live through those experiences.
The stakes are definitely very high for Kay's journey through the underworld, but she learns, she adapts, she sneaks around, and she finds herself in very important spaces with very powerful people.
Building the world of Star Wars Outlaws, first thing we had to do was think of places where outlaws thrive. These hubs of scum and villainy.
The most exciting thing is being able to go back to iconic locations that people know and love, but then diving into the Lucasfilm archives and really bringing them alive in a new but very genuine way.
It's not just about recreating Tatooine as you know it. Going back to the classic sources of spaghetti westerns, we try to recreate an authentic mood and feel as we build new points of interest to follow the already established history.
And there is a new location that we collaborated with Massive Entertainment on called Toshara. And this has been built from the ground up with the scoundrel fantasy at its beating heart.
Hang on!
Our goal is that you feel like you're stepping into Star Wars. And that means going back to those Macquarie concepts, going back to Joe Johnston's storyboards, Phil Tippett's creature designs, and creating a lived-in galaxy.
We're trying to create a world that feels alive and bustling with opportunity, that also is very grounded. And we're getting inspiration from the African savannah. But we still want to add the alien element. And that is what makes it feel like Star Wars.
We want to give Toshara some elements that make it really stand out in the Star Wars galaxy. So there are windswept plains, veins of amberine, and there's a vibrant city called Mirogana that's built into a huge rock that's been carved out by the wind that's ever present on Toshara.
One thing that we need to always keep in mind is there's always a connection between the biome, what grows there, what lives there, like the flora, fauna, and the culture of the people who inhabit the place. From how the plants pollinate, or how vegetation and local resources are used in local clothing and buildings, to even how the locals have adopted wind into their way of life. We have created everything with an authentic approach, so players will experience all these places like someone who actually is there.
We made it, Nix.
Working with Massive, we were able to really build out an authentic Star Wars world where you can travel, explore, and discover in a way that we really haven't been able to experience in modern Star Wars gaming.
The high-stakes scoundrel lifestyle and the open-world promise allowed us to create a game within Star Wars that had never been done before. Not just exploring cities, but also getting onto your speeder and race across stunning wilderness. Then jump into your ship, the Trailblazer, and go on an incredible adventure.
We've only scratched the surface of what Star Wars Outlaws has to offer. There is so much more that you will get to embody and use and play when you become Kay Vess.
Players are gonna love Star Wars Outlaws It's going to be exciting. It's very adventurous, and that's what makes it Star Wars. So I'm very excited to share that.
So, where do we go next?
Anywhere we want.
Star Wars Outlaws, coming 2024.
All right, Star Wars Outlaws coming 2024. Super looking forward to it, and that's all we got for today. So if you want to listen to any of the videos that we just listened to right here on the podcast, you can find the links in the description below. Congrats on Ubisoft Massive's latest Star Wars installment. I mean, I think it's actually the first one that they've ever done. So I'm really looking forward to playing this game next year. So many solid AAA games coming down the road. So we will see you in the next episode of Star Wars Escape Pod. And as always, may the Force be with you.